know, some good friends. So we are going live. Rails, I'll let you take over this first attack as we get into the map.
Indeed, the Charger's going to try to go in, not managing Limb. Do have a 25 damage pounce going on to Shady, aka Zul right there. Good amount of damage from that jockey as well. Nice hit from Yonim to start this off. Let's do a quick roster rundown right before this tank. We have 4 Element of Surprise on Survivor, Tool, Lucky Lock, Shady, and Haxer Mode, aka Hib. And who do we have for Euonym team here? Freedox.
For Yonim, we have K3, Master Silver, the Dawkins 154, and Sir himself.
I like it. Dawkins 154. That's the official name.
Of course. Tank's working his headables in right now, just messing around. Trees, you know, like cars on the beach. I'm pretty sure that's a song. Got another attack coming in. Charger whiffs on his attack there. The jockey is coming in, gets a little bit of damage on Coach. Hunter is dead. Charger gets another punch, and Tank continues to throw rocks and hit his ground, but probably just looking to wait for his support to come back up as he is going to get pushed a little bit here.
I think that's the right call, too, from Team Element Surprise to start pushing their way out. I haven't seen this tank, actually, in the games that I've at least casted myself result in a wipe. The only way I can really see it coming out would be thanks to those cards. But some nice chip going out, actually, from Hib, pushing up the side of the shoreline there to Uzi Dawkins' tank a little bit more. It's going to be a jockey, a boomer, and a smoker for the next hit here. I don't know if he's going to decide to commit with this or not. It might depend on whether or not that boomer can land.
Yeah, I think the boomer's going to be crucial here. Those cards are going to be hard to work in, although he does get one pretty close, the other one's up on the street, so the survivor's in a precarious position already. They're all tunneling the tank, and that boomer might be coming in on the reload. Here comes Rocket Boom in, and he gets the 3 boom. Be bad, Rail.
But he hit his car out. That's a really big problem. He's down to 1,000 HP, lands a rock onto Rochelle, manages to get a punch onto Rochelle as well, but this tank is going to be dead before even getting that in cap. I think the problem with that is that hittable car that he was trying to roll in with, he pushed it over the fence to the left. If that hittable had been a little bit closer there and he would have been able to actually hit that at the survivors after the tri-boom landed, that could have been a wipe, but he was already dead, like, at least 50%, right? He was down to like 3k HP or something like that before he even got close to that hittable off that tri-boom.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate to lose the car out of play like that because the survivors were in a pretty tough spot if he had managed to keep that in there, but I'd expect to see a hit coming in on the stairs or in this hallway. Got the Hunter spawning up. Hunter going in. Hunter does manage to land his pounce. Charger coming in. He does charge down the stairs and gets a nice charge spit on the stairs as well. Boomer stumbles back, so a lot of damage.
Yeah, good amount of damage going out right there on the Element of Surprise. They have 2 sets of pills left. 3 survivors bleeding. Lucky Lock about to be slow as well. And I'm going to reiterate, this is a best-of-1 match as both of these teams are technically North American-based. We have just, I believe it's Sir Please who's connecting from the western part of Europe, and ping's actually doing pretty well on the server right here. I gotta say, 120 ping connecting to Chicago is pretty nice. We have a Charger, Smoker, Jockey, and a Spitter for next hit from Euonym at this crossroad here where they have to cut underneath this alarm car with these, like, random, almost connecting bridge things above them, the ledges. And this could actually be really, really bad if they get separated, and that Smoker is going to go on the back. Charger going for the intercept, not going to win onto Hib. Spit's going to go down, and that should be the end of the hit for the most part, besides a little bit of spit damage.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they have a spitter there, because if you have a boomer up top, you know, obviously with the alarm card, you got to be careful of popping the boom, because then you're just drawing more attention and more horde to yourselves, but that's the way the pacifist goes, I guess.
We can cross over.
Indeed it does. I mean, I haven't actually had a whole lot of experience playing on this map in terms of, like, in match play. I think this is actually one of the first times that the pacifist, aka the stacking, has been used in a major tournament. So it's been a learning experience for a lot of players. We do have that single boom going out in the front. Hunter bouncing around in the bottom. Going to manage to land onto Ellis right there with the spit going down as well. So these hits are actually, that spit's going to miss. But these spits are, like, I don't know. They could be maximizing them a little bit more in terms of placement, but they've done a good job on the EOS's health. However, their damage bonus is 100% right now.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I've been impressed with their coordination so far, and their hits, while not completely connecting every time, have continued to do a lot of damage. And, you know, after that tank getting shut down relatively well, considering the boom pretty well, and now we're getting into the area where we have that static witch spawn, and this could be interesting just from a couple perspectives. I mean, you could draw, or you could bait out the hit and run back into the, or you could just run up and YOLO, you know, which, I mean, you never really know with Hib.
You can never quite tell. One thing I'd like to mention, though, is if you draw the switch here, I mentioned this a couple times, but if you draw it, that's when the horde starts. If you crown it regularly, there will be no residual horde. The bride doesn't get upset at how her wedding day is falling apart if you decide to shoot her in the face at close range instead of drawing her. So, Smoker, Jockey, Charger, Boomer for the next hit coming in here from Team Euonym. And it looks as though that Smoker almost getting picked, actually, getting ripped down to red health by those Uzis, and Hib is going to actually pick that smoker, which is getting a little bit aggro, but I think that here is the right call.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, they're taking their time. Here comes the draw on the Witch. He's going to go through the chairs. Boomer gets popped. Witch coming around the Horde. Nice draw around there by Hib.
Horde's going to be spawning off of that as well, and they have 2 spawns up for Team Yonim. Going to be a Jockey, Charger, Spitter, and that 4th spawn should be coming in the queue. They actually might only get 1 more hit before the safe room here, Ducks.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of an interesting structure on the first part of this map, is that it feels like there's not a whole lot of chokes, and if you move quickly enough through here, you can actually make it in with a decent amount of bonus pretty consistently. So we should see the last hit working its way in. Hunter does spawn up, Charger coming in as well. Hunter out of the air by Tool, Charger coming in, gets the stumble, Jockey lands on top of Velas for a little bit of damage. Spit goes in, but that's going to be inconsequential, and we do see the survivors making their way into the safe room.
And they have 100% damage bonus off that. That's the most impressive part of this. 21% health bonus. That's going to give them a total first down score of 912. Very solid start for them on Surprise. Obviously, that tank could have gone a lot worse. In fact, they allowed that 3-boom to land. Isn't going to be something that they want. But they're running a lineup here that doesn't include either Han or Fire, which is just another interesting tidbit of how deep Team Element Surprise's roster runs. Like, all the players that they have, including the 4 that they have in front of us here, are very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge help to have somebody like Tool on the roster too. I know that he had a combination of table flip / everything else that's always been around with Hib and Han and previously Lust and Relapse and some of those players. But I mean, Tool's always been one of my favorite players in the community, and I think he, along with Lucky Lock, it really helped to shore up this roster altogether.
He did, yeah, and that does give them the ability to use potentially different rosters that have better combinations against different teams. Not necessarily dependent on ping, just dependent in general. But we are going live. Team Euonym ready to try to match that safe room. Let's see if they can. Jockey, Spitter, Charger, and a Hunter for Team Element Surprise. They're going to start clearing out those common from the side, taking their time. They're going to be running looks like a 2-2 setup right here. They're going to have the shotguns in the hands of Sir and Master Silver. And yeah, I mean, all these players too with competitive experience. I'd be surprised to see Yonim go down easy. And we are going to have that Hunter landing 2 damage pounds with a stick going down top of that. Charger getting a little bit of damage, but I'd say a pretty good handle from Team Yonim overall.
Yeah, it was taken pretty well as the tank spawns up there. You know, it was unfortunate the Hunter actually managed to land his pounce on the Charger's target as well. A little bit of mistiming there, but it can happen, And as Rails so eloquently stated, we do have a Hib tank coming in hot. Looks like a lot of cars making their way in. See if he can keep them up on the road. That one's going to be tough to get into play, so he'll probably leave that one alone. But punting a few more cars in, just working his way through. Survivors sitting back, just waiting to get that chip in when they can.
Yeah, so he's got 2 down here where he's about to start whacking them around, and then he's got another one to the left behind the bus. That's going to prevent the survivors from kiting forward, but I think if he wants to try to get this to be a wipe, he's going to knock almost in, almost hitting Dawkins right there with that hittable, almost slapping into him, but he managed to juke to the left-hand side a little bit. They are going to start chipping the tank just a tad as he starts working these in. This should be the commit from Hib. That car is going to be up there and in as well. Tank is now going to work his way, and he's got Dawkins completely separated there. Jockey is going to try to go for him. Being kited around now, trying his best to get these hedges. Not quite working, but there's the pounce. That's going to be a pin. It should be cleared, though, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it's still on. There's the Uzi getting to clear. Hib's turning around, spraying the damage a little bit onto these survivors. Dawkins going to get Jockey forward, completely separated on that play. And I think they were actually going for some kind of death charge. Not going to land, though. Hib is almost dead, but there's a full cap out into Dawkins in the distance. Tank getting one more punch right there onto Rochelle. Miracle car! Oh, almost landing onto Rochelle. That's a good amount of damage coming out from Element Surprise's tank.
That is a lot of damage, and you really have to question the positioning of Dawkins on that one. He rotated around as the tank was coming in, away from his team, which allowed for Elements of Surprise to basically throw all the SI in on him. So Hunter managed to land, Jockey slowed him down, Charger came in. So that was a full in cap on Dawkins, and undoubtedly Euonym has a little bit of ground to make up after that tank.
Indeed they do, and their damage bonus is actually going to start being affected right now. We can also mention, due to that in cap onto Dawkins, going to be a Spitter, Charger, Jockey, and a Smoker for the next hit from Team Element Surprise. That Smoker looks like he's spawned, maybe try to get a pull through the back window there, and that's indeed what he's going to try to do. Going to miss it, however. Jockey's going to get skied. Charger goes in, stumbles, and survivors around. There's actually a pull going out now onto Dawkins once again. Good amount of damage going on to Silver, too. That's a lot of damage onto that damage bonus.
That's such a cheeky pull. I don't think I've ever actually seen a smoke in there before, but it obviously worked out well. I mean, for Euonym, it was not any of their remaining health bonus, but it's still a lot of damage.
I mean, the way these bonuses are set up right now, I think that took about 34 points, so a third of their damage bonus off just from that hit onto Dawkins. They're still going to be fast right here, and they still have a little bit better of a bonus. Gets me saying to really stop downloading Prawn. I mean, you know, one can only do so much when casting Left 4 Dead 2. We do have a nice double boom going out right there, and the alarm car actually going up as well. Hunter landing onto Dawkins, Jockey going in, trying to land. Nice double cap landing. Jockey lands onto Rochelle, but nobody's clearing that smoker. Dawkins having to turn around a little bit there. That's a lot more damage going out, and it seems as though Team Element of Surprises cohesion is getting to Euonym a little bit.
Quite the hit. They had the alarm car going off, the 2-boom, and the 2-cap going on, and it looks like Dawkins had a little bit of trouble clearing that smoker, which I think we can all understand. Sometimes it's difficult, but that's a ton of work being done. And you know, now we see the Charger spawning up, making a little bit of noise here, and another alarm car triggered their rails, and this is not looking good. There's going to be a ton of horde to deal with.
There's a ton of horde, and also they are bleeding out. Like, they have no pills left, 3 survivors bleeding out, 2 in full bleed. And Charger, Hunter, Spitter, Jockey is not the hit you want to deal with in this area either. Hunter's going to be going for a DP up on the buildings up there. Jockey wants to come from the right-hand side. And the survivors are still trying to clear out just the remnants of that horde. It's going to take a little while going in, but eventually Sir is going to be slow with his permanent HP right here. A little bit of discombobulation, I think, going out. Hunter's going in for the DP, not going to land it. There is going to be a Jockey landing with a pounce, taking that target onto Sir. Lots of damage going to Sir. That's another full in-cap going out, and the survivor play from Euonym has been a little bit sloppy here, Redux.
Yeah, it's been a rough start so far. They're completely out of pills. They've taken several in-caps now, and only 1 survivor left with her.
Into the building.
We can cross over up here.
I have seriously felt better.
Yeah, there's only 1 survivor left with that permanent HP. That's being K3, and the damage bonus has been taking a beating from this as well. Needless to say, with all of the changes being made from Pro Mod to Ace Mod, that damage bonus is a huge, huge part of it, where you have to protect everybody at all times. And unfortunately, right now, for what we've been seeing of Euonym's Survivor, it just hasn't been up to par with what you need to be a team like Element of Surprise, not even close. That Boomer's going to spawn out down below. Smoker going for a pull from the front. Charger actually is going to take that pull. Hunter lands here, a nice double cap going out. More damage going out onto Silver. Boomer landing a nice, long double boom, and Euonym are still in trouble.
Yeah, and one of the more underrated mechanics that has been introduced in Ace Mod that I'd like to point out is the fact that it's only scratch for the infected to break down doors. So as a survivor, you used to have a little bit of kind of a comfort level with knowing that a door just got closed behind you because you'd be alerted to anybody coming through. But in these situations now, they can pretty much just bust down the door in 1 hit and be on top of you, and you saw the Charger take advantage of that right there. We see another attack coming in, Hunter pouncing around, just making some noise. Charger does spawn up, Smoker, Charger does get a punch. Hunter by himself is probably just going to save to try to help out for the Witch at this point.
Got a little bit more damage once again out onto the survivors right there, but K3 is holding all of that permanent health bonus. Silver working his way to the right, trying to kite that Hunter around, because Redux mentioned that Hunter did disengage to troll the Witch. It looks as though Dawkins going to be the one going for Witch, who is now aggro. Draw count going out, that's going to be another full in-cap onto Dawkins, and there's going to be Horde on that as well. A little bit of a misplay there, I would say, engaging that Hunter and not going for a longer draw where he could have had time to skeet it. We do have that spit going out onto 2 boom survivors to the right, and the Smoker is going to look for a separation pull onto Silver, managing to land it. As a matter of fact, this is really dangerous right now, Docs.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage going out. Another huge misplay. The Witch getting the in cap after Hunter was able to pounce the target that was being drawn by Dawkins there. Got the 2 boom going in. Jockey coming in, gets a couple scratches. Does get meleeed by K3, and K3 is the only survivor. And it looks like these survivors may be left at the altar rails.
Yeah, indeed, they actually could be. This is going to be most likely a wipe. Hunter does get shot in the face there. Boomer and Spitter are up as well. Spit's going to go down on top of that. Boomer's going to land a nice quad boom onto 3 in-cap survivors, and that is going to kill Dawkins, in-cap Silver, and spell the wipe for Team Euonym. 912 to 418 off the first map, and again, because it's a best of 1 series, almost a 500-point differential is not what you want to see out of passing map 1.
Yeah, it's a really rough start there. I mean, Euonym, I do think they have the ability to, come back and, make it a close game either way. And, you're not out of it. There's still 4 maps left to go, but that is a pretty rough way to get started in this match. And, it was interesting that K3 chose to continue the pickup, even standing in the spit, just knowing that the Horde was coming in, knowing that they were probably going to get trapped even if he finished that pickup. So, I mean, valiant effort, but a 500-point deficit is definitely not what you want.
I mean, it depends on where the tank is on this map as well. It's going to be 41%. It seems to be around the same spot or way later, depending on just, like, those 2 spawns. But This is now where EOS has already taken a good lead. They can look to take control if they make the safe room here. Some teams have had almost no problem doing that. We saw a lot of safe rooms made between teams Serenity and the healthcare professionals, but again, they're not necessarily reflective of the average Left 4 Dead 2 teams in terms of how long they've been playing together and how well, but these two teams right here in front of us are excellent as well. I could see either of them doing the same back and forth, but Yonim's gonna need to get it together after that first match. I think their survivor just was not up to par.
Yeah, that's very true. And for this first hit here, you do have the Hunter, the Boomer, the Charger, and it looks like a Spitter up. Or no, I guess that's a Smoker. So we're going to see where they decide to take it in. Survivors baiting a little bit, just trying to get those spawns to come up. Got all 4 Survivors, looks like rocking Uzis currently. And just taking their time, ghosting around, shooting some common, hanging out on the stairs. You know how it is.
Hib decided he was done hanging around, so he pushed forward right there to draw a couple more of the common. And yeah, the 4 Uzi strats have been pretty popular since that reintroduction in Ace Mod, and I definitely approve of the use right here because I know that tank is going to be in a certain spot. We do have a separation pole going out in the back, puts it here, double cap landing with the tri-boom. Hunter and Charger both able to go in. Nice move by Nick to actually get past and clear that before the quad proxy goes out. I don't know if I agree with that, using 4 Uzis and ducking into a small alley with spawns above, but the SI did make them pay for that small mistake in their positioning.
Yeah, I have seen a couple teams decide to go into that small alley to try to get that first hit baited out, and I'm not really sure I understand the logic there, because if you just push straight up the stairway in front, there's much more room for you to at least to maneuver a little bit. But we do see the survivors pushing through that pool room and actually getting out before there was another hit coming in. So now the Infected are going to have to try to go in this open area, which is always dicey proposition.
They've already switched out their weapons, as a matter of fact. Nice ski coming out from that newly shotgunned Hand of Tool. Boomer gets popped right there. A little bit of residual spit damage going in, so some okay spread on the Element of Surprise so far. Nothing really substantial, however. I mean, they've gotten about 100 damage. That's pretty good, but obviously no survivor down. No survivor having to commit pills yet. And I think they actually did just find an extra set of pills, so Hib will shove those in his mouth and then take the other set before this tank. I think they can actually push the tank forward here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do here. And we do see the Smoker spawning up, missing his pull. Jockey coming in, he's looking for that, and actually gets seated by Hib with the axe. Charger going out the window, nothing happening there, and the Boomer gets shut down. So kick there, Hib pulling out the axe, axing the Jockey in the face. Jockey Balboa goes down in the 3rd round to Hector Estrada.
Indeed, and now we are going to have a tank up into the hands of the one and only K3 4-team Euonym. Let's see if he's able to make a lot of damage in this area. We haven't really seen it happen, though, due to the fact that it's so wide open. Landing a Boomer is also somewhat incredibly difficult, and even if they do, they can outrun the Horde just waddling around these white vans and the hedges and everything, these other obstacles they can just use to their advantage.
That is very true, although I think they have a pretty good setup given the area where they're in with the Charger, the Smoker, and the Hunter. You're going to see the tank rolling in here, K3 coming in, looking for that early corner. Rochelle up on the light post, getting a lot of chips. Tank already at half health, and the Infector does manage to get a punch. Nice skeet there onto the Hunter. Charger going in, trying to get some charges. Oh, and a nice charge against the tree. Tank has a corner, but he's getting juked on top of that. Oh my god, Rogue.
Yeah, that tank got juked out at the end right there. Hib doing a good job putting on the Nikes and just kiting back and forth. I mean, that's an okay amount of damage for that area, again, about the equivalent of an in-cap, but because Hib actually didn't go down, that does help them even more in terms of their damage bonus. So this is going to be difficult now because, again, a team like Element of Surprise and their high-powered survivor, they can definitely push through this water down there without that slowdown inhibiting them. So Team Euonym is going to have to get a lot of damage on these residual hits. They're going to try right now. Jock going in, gets immediately shut down. Boomer gets a proxy boom. We do see the spit going down, but not on top of the pounce target.
Yeah, that's another pretty good take. It did get some momentary, but nothing too, nothing too substantial. And just going back to that tank, I mean, if Team Euonym, you can be thrilled by the fact that you did get a decent amount of damage for that open area, but already being down, a really tough way to go.
Exactly. I mean, again, while that's not like a high damage potential tank, they really need to pull something off at this point where it's like, it is possible for them to have gotten more, but they obviously did not. And now this hit right here, they also, I think, just missed a little bit because Element of Surprise just blitzed that choke and managed to get down into this open area before the drop spawns are ready. Smoker, Charger, Boomer, Jockey would have been really good there, but now there is also a Witch up, and I believe Hib does have a shotgun, so he should be able to go for the draw crown and just onto his damage bonus instead of anything permanent. And the survivors are actually cutting to the right-hand side here, trying to block everything out, and that would be a pretty easy draw as long as she doesn't curve. Let's see what Hib decides to do. He is going to draw crown the Witch. He's going to climb over the railing and probably curve a lot, and he does get the easy draw crown. Now that it comes in, Jockey gets shut down, Charger gets melted, and the Boomer is left on his own.
Yeah, and this is just one of those examples of many that I found the mechanic in Ace mod where water slowdown has been completely removed, because it's, you know, as an infected, it's so hard to land in these big open areas when the survivors are moving full speed, don't have anything, it's tough.
Exactly, I mean, and now, especially through an event like this, all of them are fast. They still have 3 sets of pills. Hunter, Boomer, Spitter, and a Charger for the next hit coming out here from Team Euonym. Let's see, Charger coming from the right-hand side, trying to land on the hip, again, getting melted. Hunter going in, getting focus fired by those Uzis and that shotgun of Mr. Hib. Spitter is going to get picked. He does manage to lay on the ladder, but these hits are discombobulated now too, Ducks.
Yeah, it's true, and I mean, it's hard to even coordinate in a place like this where the spawns can be pretty dicey, especially when you end up with a 2-cap, which is you're hoping to land anything at that point, and when all of your cappers are pretty immobile, it's kind of hard to do. So we're coming up on probably the last major chokes here with the run down this alleyway area at the end, but so far not looking too good. An element of surprise, or, you know, really feeling good about where they stand right now.
They have an 844-point health damage bonus aggregate, I would also like to say. Smoker, Jockey, Spitter, Charger coming in right now, 14 Euonym. Charger's coming in from the back. Is going to get beautifully cleared by the focus fire of the survivors. Jockey does manage to drag Lucky Lock back into a little bit of spit, trying really hard to pick that Smoker, and they actually might decide to pop their pills and push at this point, or even save them for that extra bonus, but I think they are going to commit and just try to go.
Reloading.
You know, get up to speed, keep going, move forward. But that was actually a decent amount of damage given how much you just have to tunnel that area there, and the Charger getting cleared was a huge help as well.
Keep dragging that one survivor back in this bit was a little bit of a help, but Smoker, Charger, Spitter, and a Boomer right here. An element of surprise, still to deal with the end of this horde. Smoker is looking for a pull forward, not finding it quite yet, getting shipped out to the side right there. Now let's get cleared. Boomer drops to the right-hand side, Spitter to the left. Boomer is not going to land much of anything. Is going to get popped. Charger's going to go in and gets immediately. They're going in one by one, Ducks. It's not working for him.
No, it's not working well, and they spawned up assuming that the survivors were going to continue to rush, but I think they were aware that the spawns were coming up and just kind of put on the brake, watched everybody skate right by. So now they're going to run up these stairs completely untouched and probably straight into the safe room without too much resistance. Maybe a last-second Hunter scratch, but that's about it.
That is going to be the safe room for Team Element Surprise, bringing their total score to already 2,316 points. A 1,404-point chapter coming out from EOS right there. And I mean, Euonym is going to have to do a lot of work now on their survivor side. They cannot afford a wipe at that tank, and they cannot afford to eat a whole lot of damage beforehand either. This is really, really unfortunate for them that the score delta is already branching this wide. But they are going to have to just, like, reverse that field. But all the momentum in the entire world right now is on EOS's side.
Yeah, they played really well to start out this match, and I do think that it's going to be a tough road to come back. But, you know, anything can happen in these games, and I've made reference to, it is a Hib team, and every once in a while, Hib is prone to make some questionable decisions. So we'll see if that comes into effect at all here. There's still you are right in the sense that now the survivors are going to be pushing into a hit with the Spitter. The Charger coming in from behind. Smoker gets the full forward. Hunter lands for a little bit of generators. I like that. That is definitely a shady Boomer spawn.
Indeed it is, and I do like the fact that, actually I have used that before, but like sometimes it works very well. The survivors know that it's easy to pop, but that case it did get a single boom. Charger, Smoker, and a Hunter for the rest, and if I'm Yonim, I don't want to sit there until I get that Spitter, but I guess they're going to have to.
Yeah, it's really hard to push forward when you got all of the horde being funneled down that staircase. There's really nowhere to go except just wait. But you are right in the sense that now the survivors are going to be pushing into a hit with the Spitter. The Charger coming in from behind. Smoker gets the full forward. Hunter lands for a little bit, and a nice charge into the completely separated on Rochelle. Charge gets cleared pretty quickly, but that's quite a bit of damage. And thankfully, there's that dumpster right there. That could have been a lot worse for Silver, aka Rochelle.
Yeah, good play by Silver right there, jump on top of that steer and mitigate a little bit of that spit damage, but again, the separation was key in terms of how the special infected capitalized on the survivors' mistakes. Boomer, Smoker, and 2 other spawns coming into queue right now, 14 Element Surprise, are going to be a Hunter and a Charger. Let's see if they elect to send this before the survivors get too close to that door. We are actually have a pull out in the back, separate right there. Charger's going to land an intercept. They do manage to clear the pull, but that Charger did get a slam onto K3, and again, discombobulated positioning has been the story of Yonim so far.
Yeah, that is very true, and thankfully they were able to clear that hole on Dawkins in the back before the Charger came in, because that had the elements of a three cap, and Rochelle actually down accidentally behind, and so it would have taken quite a while to clear, would have had to go through that pipe, but thankfully it could have gone a whole lot worse, and now they're pushing themselves into this safe room, although these, back you see the jockey going in as well, and that's just going to delay the survivors further before this tank spawns up. I would not be surprised to see a delay spit along with a quick boom here just to try to keep the survivors back a little bit.
Nice pick on that spitter though by Silver, working his way back to the top. Boomer is waiting for the survivors to jump across. He's going to get M2, but actually does get popped onto Dawkins' face right there. So a single boom coming out of that, plus the chip downs that they got into Dawkins from the pull jocks. But Charter's going to come in the back, almost landing onto the survivors, but he is going to split through the window right there and shoot out into the street. Going to be a smoker and 2 other spawns coming up, and this tank should be up relatively soon as well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out this time. You've got Jockey and the Smoker so far, and Jockey's not terrible in this area, but they're going to send it in early. Jockey does get shoved and out, waiting to die. There it goes. And now we've got a tank up in the hands of Lucky Lock. Looks like they've got a Hunter and a Smoker already spawned up, and looks like a Boomer as well. And that Boomer could be the difference maker here. Quick boom behind there, does get the single boom onto Dawkins. We'll see if the tank decides to commit on that, or if he's just content to wait it out for his third capper to come up.
I think what he might do is he might decide to roll in with the very end of that horde and then see if they can get that last spawn in the queue by the time he's fully made his commit. He's knocking around the corner right there. Maybe he's just going to wait at this point. Hunter and Smoker, I would say, is pretty good for that area, and they might want to Charger instead of the Jockeys. The Jockey seems pretty easy to shut down nowadays. They are going to get the Jockey, though. So Tank is going to roll in with that. Lucky Lock pushing in for Team Element at Surprise, cutting the survivors around. We are going to have a Smoker looking for a pull, not going to win, but he actually has gotten a corner right now on to Dawkins. 2 hits going out. He actually might be able to get the in cap. Dawkins got his pills off beforehand, so he's not going to be able to. All 3 of the pinners are still alive. 1, 2, 3 cap landing right there. Beautiful play from Team Element at Surprise. I was able to count that in order. Tank turning back around. Imagine to get the in cap onto Dawkins. That Jockey is still going. Tank working his way back inside. Sir is going to manage to eat his pills. Nice in cap right there onto Rochelle. Another hit going out onto Sir. He is going to get killed, I think, before he gets the wipe. But Ducks, what an absolutely stunning 3 cap from Element of Surprise.
Nice shot.
Yeah, that was just incredible, and it almost looked to me as if that 3 cap would have completely gone away, because at the very beginning of that attack, when he had the Dawkins cornered, actually went in to get a pull on what looked to be a sure 3 cap, and he hit the tree. And so I just thought, okay, that's probably the end of the attack, easy to shut down, and then they landed a momentary 3 cap again anyway, a ton of damage. Now see the spitter going in, just trying to get a little bit of a delay in. Hunter coming in, does get the pound onto Ellis momentarily. Smoker going in, a little bit of a disjointed attack here. Charger, I think, is just going to point. But yeah, that tank was brutal. And if you're already down, like I said, it's going to be tough to come back when you keep having tank fights like that.
Exactly. They're already way, way, way behind in terms of the bonus right here, and they are still just making those distance points up. They're going to be behind probably at best by 1,300 points going to the first map of the sacrifice. We have a single boom going out onto Rochelle back there. Hunter is free throwing in the back. Coming in right now, Charter trying to land as well, not going to work. Hunter does land and gets instantly cleared. Nice chip level going out by Silver right there onto Tool's Charger, but even though they're still making their way through the map, they're bleeding out the entire time.
Yeah, and all of them are already pretty close to being slow. You've got survivors under 50 HP. K3 is about to join them. Spitter was going in for an interesting spit there, and I think Hip forgot there was a wall, but that's okay. Next time you'll scratch before you spit there. You see the survivors continuing their way down the stairs. They're probably going to this witch count pretty quickly, although the jockey is spawned up below, probably just to hold them back a little bit, maybe allow for that fourth spawn to come up. And I think the survivors are just going to be content to try to kill some of this horde, although they do have to move pretty quickly with no pills and bleeding out. You do see the attack coming in. Charger spawns up. Nice pull in the front onto Dawkins, right up next to the witch. The witch is actually going to get triggered on that, although he's down survivor. Nice attack. Oh my gosh, this is just a disaster reel.
Indeed it is. 2 in caps going out right there, so the damage bonus at this point is a completely null question for Team Yonim. And this jockey's looking around trying to make this actually a wipe. They're going to start getting the pickup right now onto Dawkins. Jockey's still trolling. Still has actually all of his HP as well, so let's see if they can actually pull off the wipe here. Spit's going to go down on to Ellis. That's not going to be a kill right there, but Dawkins is actually almost dead if they can find a way to troll that. Charger going in, managing to get leveled right there by Silver. Nice job by him getting that frag. Boom is going to go out onto K3, but they almost died there.
mean, he managed to get the level while getting the pickup and was able to get Dawkins up before he died. So that actually worked out better than planned after they were 4-boomed with 2 survivors down and it hanging around.
Yeah, and at this point, Charter, Spitter, Smoker, Hunter could wipe them in this area, especially before they drop. Charter's going to come up right there. Going in, imagine you get a double charge, almost in-capping Sir, I believe, right there. That is going to be in-cap onto Sir. Pull goes out onto Dawkins, forward right there. Silver does manage to get the clear through the bottom of that fence, but more scratches going on onto Dawkins. Not a whole lot you can do about that, and now there is going to be the cup onto Sir. Sir is going, that's his first in-cap, but Dawkins is black and white at 33 HP, and actually that's a down going out on to K3 once again as well, so he's going to be black and white at this point too.
Yeah, K3 took that punch in the back from the comment. It looks like Silver might have missed that while they were there. Dawkins is going to try to do as he can. I mean, he's still got enough to maybe make it if they cover pretty well. You see the spawns coming back up though for Element of Surprise. Charger's up, Pull goes out in the back on him pretty quickly though. Charger is trolling around, Jockey lands on Dawkins, that's going to be the death. Boomer does go in and does not, well I guess he landed on Dawkins, but that didn't really mean anything. And it's looking for...
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim right now for Team Yonim, and Sir and K3 are the last 2 up. Still an event strength forward coming in on them right now as well, and they're having issues deciding who's going to be picking up Rochelle. But that's actually being more common trolling as well, so nobody really covering at the moment. Spitter, Hunter, Boomer for the next hit right here, and actually, matter of fact, that's going to be a death out on to K3, and now Sir is the last one up, and that is going to be the wipe if this Hunter manages to land. Let's see, still bouncing around, playing the common, do work on the Silver. Sir is now the last one there. Carter spawns up, going for a free charge right here, working his way in, managing to land it, and that is the wipe out onto Team Yonim by Element of Surprise.
Yeah, and already a 1,300 point deficit. I mean, there's still like to go, so it's not like this can't be overcome here, but it's not the way you want to start out if you're Team UNM. And you know, one of the things that I've noticed on this is that when you have the Horde in those open areas, it's so difficult. Boom, you know, the Horde can come in from anywhere. They're literally swarming you, whereas, you know, earlier in the map where they were fighting the tank, you saw that single boom go out before Element of Surprise's tank, but the Horde was effectively dead before the tank could commit because all of it was coming from one place. And, you know, it can cause so much havoc. And, you know, I don't think they're going to make it regardless of the Horde there, but, you know, it is just surrounded by common. It can just make handling those SI, especially when you're already bleeding, a whole lot more difficult.
Exactly, and I mean, at this stage in the game, when there's already large score delta right here, Element of Surprise are going to look to keep the pressure on. Like I said, they've got all the momentum rolling behind them. Originally had plans, Swib going to send me out, GG's and GLHF. Okay, so Swib is going to come in right now. K3 is going to disconnect. Let's see if Sideways Box does manage to show up right here. That could also provide a bit of a shift in the momentum, depending on how Swib decides. I mean, facing a 1,300 point differential going into this map is basically going to require one thing, and that's a wipe at this tank coming up.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, this is going to be a crucial map because, you know, from what I've seen on the last 2 maps here, those tend to be equalizing maps to a certain extent. You know, you're not going to necessarily see huge differences, especially on the finale scores. It can happen, but especially with the finale on this having 3 different tanks, I mean, you can't really plan on making up any big bonus difference at that point in time. So you really got to do your work over the next 2 maps. But, you know, Swib is a long established player in this community. We'll see how a little bit more out of that this time around, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if you're Team UNM right now. It's time to put your big boy pants on.
We have a screenshot from Hib. You know what that means, Bucks?
Oh, buddy.
Let's see exactly what it is. Like opening a mystery box. Why did he post that in all chat?
It's probably a picture of him sitting in a Starbucks, right? Right?
No, it's a picture of. He linked me this earlier. I think he's memeing. Please don't associate it with what him just did. Too late, Lucky Lock. I'm already reading it. Him. Oh! Dawkins is usually somebody who does not curse. He actually just told him, and I quote, "Shut the fuck up." What are we looking at? I don't know, sir. I mean, yo, if you guys think, and we're big on that big EP measure, yo, if the game hasn't been entertaining so far, that right there would be, it was meant to be MM2, is worth the price of watching this. Holy shit.
Well, I mean, you know, that could have been another one of those hip strats, right? I mean, if you're not already tilted more tilted now. I mean, you got an F-bomb out of Dawkins, which is hard to do. You know, usually it's shut the fudge up, but you know how that goes. And we do see the first attack coming in. Hunter does go in. Smoker gets a quick pull, but cleared quickly. And the solo boom, and Charger's just going to hang out and wait for the rest of his team. But it's an interesting start to map 3 there, huh?
Yeah, I definitely think that's an interesting start right here. Let's see. Element of surprise on the Survivor now, still attempting to continue their role. And, I mean, at this point, like, this has been a little bit more interesting because of that drama. But we have a charge coming in right here. Sir going for the solo death charge, not going to land it. Smoker, Spitter, and a Hunter for the next hit coming in right now. We're going to have that spit going down. Hunter's going to go in there imagining to land onto Coach. And yeah, that's a little bit disappointing because that charger already went in, so the damage really wasn't going to get that much without that charger in the mix.
Reloading.
Well, that charge was actually pretty close. I think he almost landed on top of the Survivor's head, but it was actually not too... It looked good to me, but what do I know? I don't think I've ever actually successfully landed that charge, so I'm probably not the person to ask. They say if you can't play, you cast, right, Rails?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I live that maxim every single day. So we have a Spitter, Charger, Boomer, and a Smoker right here, ready to come out for Team Yonim. Boomer gets a single boom out on the top right there. We have a pull charge going out in the back. Pull does get cleared. Charger gets annihilated, and right there, good reaction time coming out from Element of Surprise to clear all of that before that pull charge spit could even complete itself.
Yeah, and pretty nice take again. Not a whole lot of damage going out. The boom is slowing the Survivors down a little bit. We do see the Witch there. They're kind of just, you know, hanging around with her, not really deciding what to do. I think they're just going to leave her for now, which I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where I feel like it probably makes sense just to kill her just in case. But, you know, I guess with the drop, there's not really any worry about it in this tank, and managed to shoot the Witch. But it'll be interesting to see if we see any punches through the doors here. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but I guess you never really know. And it looks like it's going to be a sideways box tank here, Rail.
Indeed it is. So Sideways Box joining the game, getting rewarded with a tank on this first map that he's playing. Charger, Hunter, and a Spitter for the transition hit right here, but I don't believe I'm surprised to open the door yet. Now I believe they have. So the tank should be able to poke his head out there as his hit goes in for a little bit of damage. Just, you know, they're still working on it right here. Hib baiting out the door opening for the next like 15 minutes. If he comes too close, the tank could punch him through the door. And let's see, is he finally going to open it? I'm not sure. Nope, not quite yet. We're almost there, Ducks.
Yeah,
There
one
we
of the
go.
tip strats. Okay, there we go. Door is opening up. We should see the infected going in pretty quickly here to allow the tank to reposition himself. And here we go. The nice pounce goes in. 18 damage pounce lands there. The tank taking a little bit of chip, but not a whole lot. Although, you know, that's 10% actually. It's pretty expensive, but you got to realize that they only had a Spitter and a Hunter there, not much else to go off of. So all things considered, not terrible. We're going to see them try to keep a little bit of LOS, but looks like the Survivors are going to be content to sit behind those crates. You'll see the tank work his car in, and who knows, maybe a random witch shot. Oh, what a terrible bounce for that car, Rails. I don't know. That's going to be, you could jump down and maybe hit it in, but it has a lot of risk of going out.
He should be able to rock it down maybe too. I think that's maybe what he tries to do. Rock Station going towards the Survivors instead. They're sending a hit. Boomer gets popped. Jockey got shut down. Smoker is going out, not going to land either. Let's see what Sideways Box decides to do right here. It looks as though one of the Survivors is opening the door anyway. And they actually, I just noticed they did also bypass that Witch. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be very useful in this situation, but who knows? Let's see. Another ski going out onto that next rock. And Sideways Box keeping first pass right here. There's not really a, like, he could try to play Rock Tank here, but nobody's bleeding yet, so I don't know exactly what that's going to get him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to play Rock Tank, but at the same time, it's an easy place to keep sight. So, you know, we saw that earlier in the Serenity match where they had like 10 or 11 attacks that went in during the tank. We do see the tank starting to work his car in and his hittables. Looks like he is going to be, the jockey is spawned up on top of the train there, looking to grab someone. Tank rolling is already at 30% HP. A nice double punch. They're cornered back there. Looks like the SI are going to work their way in. We do see the charge and the jockey coming in. Getting punched around. Hunter does land for a little bit of damage there, and a nice clear coming out. Pretty good spread overall, though, there, Rails.
Yeah, I would say so. That spread's probably all you could look for in that area after that hittable was rendered a little bit useless. And Element Surprise is still going to be able to roll forward right here. Obviously not the wipe that Team Euonym was looking for. But, I mean, Team EOS is still in a pretty good spot. They have 3 sets of pills, 3 survivors with large amounts of permanent HP, and their damage bonus, I think, has been affected just a little bit, but not by a whole lot. Boomer swung up there, right, getting a nice single boom out, and then there is a Smoker Jockey Charger for the rest. They haven't killed that Boomer yet, because I think the Boomer did back off. Looks like they're trying to by staying on top of that gun. Smoker Pole trying to go out in the front as well. Charger coming in from the roof. Charger going in, nice level coming out right there. And we are going to have that Smoker get to pull everything else cleared. Boomer dies last.
Yeah, pretty good take there. They were content just to wait it out. There were a lot of spawns in that area, but I think they did the right thing by just waiting for the infected to move. You're going to see the survivors push forward without too much resistance all the way up to the entrance to this last little silo area here before the safe room. And, you know, if you are Team Element of Surprise, yourself, Team Yonim, you know you got to put in some work to bring this damage and this health bonus down before they get into the safe room.
Indeed. So let's see. Smoker, Charger, Hunter, and a Spitter for the next hit. Coming out from Team Euonym. They're going to launch that Smoker in the back, trying to get a pull instantly cleared. Charger's going to go in, not going to land. Hunter remains a nice 16 damage pounds, however, out onto Hib, who is also on the edge of that spit. So a good amount of damage coming out of that, but again, it's not the kind of coordinated hits that they need.
Yeah, you should see the survivors be able to make it majority of this area without too much resistance at this point. They're going to get into that open area and probably be faced with one last attack before they get to the safe room. So we'll see what UNM can do here. Boomer, it's a nice 2-boom there, and that's going to be the start of something. We got the Horde trickling in. Smoker spawned up in the back. We're about to be Jockey rolling in. Does get the nice separation. Jockey in front. Charger coming in looking for the cover. Does manage to get shut down. A nice pull in the back. Common are going to be pounding on Rochelle a little bit, but gets cleared fairly quickly, and that's the attack down, and that's probably the safe room rails.
Indeed it is. So again, Hib still has a set of pills right there. Hunter and 2 other spawns, or 3 other spawns rather, coming into queue right now. A couple should be up a little bit fast maybe before that safe room. Hunter going in, trying to land a beautiful skeet going out by Hib. Boomer and 2 other spawns now coming into queue. Going to be a Charger and a Spitter. That is going to be the safe room. 14 element surprise. We're going to total score of 3,512 to 1025. And that's a beautiful job so far by Team Element Surprise, notwithstanding some screenshots that probably shouldn't have been shared. And Hib saying, I think I am going to sub out. Fire will play for me. And alright, Hib just decided to take off. I guess he did his job already.
Yep, there you go. Hib strat coming in there. And, you know, I think it's probably for the best Hib just kind of fades off into the distance for the rest of this match, because that did, you know, that got a little salty at the beginning there. But, you know, in true Hib fashion, he has something else to do, I think. But, you know, hope it's nothing too crazy there, Hib. I know you had some family stuff going on before. Not trying to troll you through that, so I do hope everything's okay. But I am excited to see the rest of this and see if UNM can at least make it a closer game going through here.
They're saying next time family matter. Actually, I'll finish this round is what he says, so...
Did I do that?
Oh, goodness gracious. There's one reason why Left 4 Dead 2 endures, and it is the community. There's also a reason why Left 4 Dead 2 hasn't exploded in terms of popularity, and it's also the community. It's a double-edged sword, what can I say?
It's a bit of a catch-22, you know, like this whole community is a bit like a Joseph Heller novel, and you know, like I really thoroughly enjoy this community, but I'm also like, you know, I'm pretty troll immune, so, you know, like the negativity doesn't really bother me. You know, I've been fat since like day 1 in this community, and, you know, like I'm still here eating stuff, so whatever.
Exactly, you gotta play along with a little bit. Charger, Smoker, Boomer, and a Hunter for Team Element of Surprise on their first hit. Team Yonim on the Survivor side. It's obvious the way the game is going so far, but again, maybe their Survivor will be a little bit improved now that Sideways Box has joined their ranks. Let's see if they are able to do any kind of turnaround. We have a Hunter jumping around a little bit, actually not even jumping, just kind of crouching, making some noise on the left-hand side. Now going for a DP, beautifully speeded by Sideways Box. Charger's going to go in and is going to whiff. We do have a pull going out onto Sarah for a little bit down with a couple Boomer scratches as well, but that's one of the cleaner Survivor bids I think we've seen from Yonim so far. Yeah,
and those are the things that you need to do if you're going to make your way back to map. Now, obviously, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the death charge area here. With that 2, the survivors are going to be slowed down enough to at least see a couple of these spawns start to come up, and we'll see how they take it. But
we shall see. It's going to be a Hunter, Charger, Spitter, and another spawn coming into queue here, and it's going to be a Boomer. Hunter's going to try to go in. Was that an M2?
You know, I don't really know.
No? Okay. I was confused for a second. Spirit's gonna go down as well. Just have a Boomer and a Charger up for the next two spawns right here. Let's see if they're able to get anything from this. The Charger could probably go for some kind of bowling death charge, and that's exactly what he's going to go for. Charger going in is going to completely whiff. Boomer drops down, gets a nice double boom. Charger almost gets a punch right there, but again, Yonim Survivor has been more on point, I would say, this chapter than the other starting to.
Yeah, they're starting to shut things down a little bit better, which is what you need to do when you're trying to make up this depth. You know, that combined with the fact that Element Surprise so far on these early hits has been a little bit disjointed in the way that they've been going in. You saw 2 SI go in and then 2 more go in. So they've kind of made it through one of the more dangerous, relatively unscathed here. So we'll see how the rest of this plays out as they go into the tank and see if they decide to deal with that witch at all. You see another attack coming in, 100 pouncing around, does get skeeted out of the sky. Smoker gets a nice pull in the back, damage going in on that, but cleared relatively quickly. Jockey trying to escape, but getting shot off of the ladder, and that's the attack down. And you know, you're feeling pretty good right now if you're Euonym. Got a little bit of momentum rolling into this.
Exactly, and this could help them. If they take this tank relatively unscathed, they could actually start making it back in this game to the point where if they score with a massive bonus. We saw HCP do that versus Serenity earlier on this map, and actually was on this, it was on the map after this one. So let's see if Team Yonim can turn around. Tanks up in the hands of Azula for Team Element Surprise. Boomer, Charger, Hunter for the first set of support right here, and again, after they open the door, that should be when we see the stick go in.
Yeah, Smoker already dying is a little bit of a misplay. If I'm Team Yonim, I'm opening the door right away because then you've only got 2 SI ready to come in.
He's going to throw a rock as it opens. Beautiful rock on the sideways box. Great timing coming out right there. A little bit of chip going out onto him. Not even 400 though, so the tank is going to be able to make a nice transition. That rock was very, very nice with the timing of that door.
Oh yeah, perfectly timed and pretty much mitigated what I was talking about with it. You know, now they're just less chip around. I see a nice single boom going in. Tank's going to be content just to keep LOS for as long as he can. Obviously, nobody's bleeding out, so there's not really any real advantage to a rock tank here, other than hoping to land some SI damage and kind of keep the survivors pinned in one place here. So, you know, overall, a pretty good start for the map here. We're going to see a Smoker working his way in. We've also got a Jock Lock about to come up here, so we'll probably see this tank maybe either look for a rock or maybe work that car in here, and a Charger coming up as well. We see the SI coming up here. Looks like they're going for, gets a nice pull. Rock coming in, does miss though, however. Charger does go in, goes a bunch of punches, then lands his Dawkins pinned in the corner, and the rock ended up getting skeeted, thankfully. So good chunk of damage, but no rate rock.
Exactly, so he should be able to keep first right here. Survivors are going to start maybe trying to push forward just a little bit. Rock going down, almost clipping Stir right there, but Stir did manage to juke it. And I mean, Yonim can actually just LOS behind this boat right here for a pretty long time, force that tank potentially into second pass territory, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing right here. They're going to transition back out, Boomer, Charger, and a Smoker for the next hit, coming out for Team Element of Surprise. Let's see if they can actually have this Boomer land while the survivors are transitioning either in or out of LOS. I don't know if they're going to be able to, though. I mean, it's going to be hard to land something in this area if the survivors actually watch it. We do have that Smoker going in, tunneling the rock, good idea. That Smoker did not yet get cleared. That Boomer's going to wander in, but nobody was watching that spawn to the left. That's what I'm talking about. That would have been an easy block. Rock landing onto Dawkins as well. And again, a little bit more of that sloppy survivor play continuing.
Yeah, I mean, just disastrous there. They have the attack effectively shut down. They had the Smoker, as we do see a pause coming out, but that Smoker got that pull in the back. Then the Charger came in, landed brief. Survivors kind of focused that and thought everything was clear, but Boomer waddled his way in from the back of the boat, landed the 2 booms. Sideways box ended up eating the rock, and now you've got 1 slow in Dawkins, who's probably going to try to commit his pills as soon as that tank comes in, and, you know, it's not a great way to end that attack.
Indeed, it looks as though Fire has joined us here, Mr. Relapse himself, replacing Hib, who did just sub out, so we are going to see him join the server once he lowers his LERP, I'm pretty sure. Until then, Shady is going to be able to keep a little bit on these survivors. Might actually go... Actually, no, he got that rock rage. I forgot about that, sorry. And now he's going to climb up to the top here, keeping the survivors underneath him so he can shoot more rocks down on them. It's going to be a Jockey, Smoker, and another spawn coming to keep for Element Surprise. They're going to send a 2-hit actually right now. Pull's going to go out, Rock's going to go in, and it's actually going to land onto Silver. And again, Redux, these rocks should not be landing.
No, they really shouldn't, and that's the thing you have to be aware of in this area more than anything else. You know, you can handle, oh, the car comes flying in, does bounce off the boat, so no harm, no foul there. But I mean, that's the one thing you can't do is take rocks in this area. The SI can do a little bit of damage here and there, but if you're giving this tank continued rage with an area that's so hard to LOS without putting yourself in danger, is just, I don't know. have to be on the lookout for. So unfortunate for Euonym that they've now got 2 sets of pills committed. They do have 2 bleeding. Tank looking to go in for another rock here. The smoker in. He does get the pull out, but he's cleared right away. Rock does land again on top, and what a great rock. You got the charger still down there just making some noise. He's going to get out and recommit once the tank goes in for another rock. I mean, just superbly played so far by the SI and by Shady's tank here, and we're just continuing to see, you know, the negative effects of eating rocks in an open area like this where the site for days.
Exactly. It's going to be a hunter, a charger, and a jockey coming in right now. Nice damage bounce going out. 1 damage there onto Sir. Tank trying to throw an intercept rock, not going to land. Charger's going to land onto Sir. Into the corner right here. The SI just stacking on top of each other right there. Rock going in, going to get skeeted by Silver. Jockey is going to be still in the spawn queue in case the Spires have to push forward, but I mean, they have to be frustrated at this point, I would say.
Oh, I would definitely say so. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than continually eating rocks during a tank fight like this, especially when you know that you have to be on the lookout for those rocks. You know, the SI aren't really landing in droves here, but it's just like they're losing focus momentarily, and that's all that the tank really needs. I mean, the only misplay, another attack coming in, Jockey does land, Smoker pulls Coach into the fire, so he's actually going to die pretty quickly if he doesn't get picked up there, and that's a terrible place to get downed. The survivors are now going to be sitting, waiting for rocks to come in. See, another pull. The rock does get skied at that time, though, and it's precarious right now.
Indeed it is. That's going to be another rock landing onto Sir, and that survivor actually is dying in the fire. Dawkins is literally getting roasted right here. We're going to have that rock going in. Imagine to land on Rochelle. That is a death onto Dawkins right there, so another disaster situation for Team Yonim right now. And that tank is going to get an in-cap onto Alice. I think the tank actually lit itself, then does go out on the fire. We're going to have that rock going in, Imagine to land on the Sir. Godframe rock, though. Looks as though that punch is going to miss, and the tank can decommit once again.
And again, just what we were talking about before, that's another death that's going to go out onto Silver there. We've only got 2 survivors left. They're just going to have to push. There's really nothing else they can do other than hope for another rock going in. That smoker is just the bane of everyone's existence, the lucky lock. And then you've got the tank going in, landing his punches. Jockey does get cleared, but Nick's corner health, Charger, tank, Nick, everybody in the train car, as it so aptly says on the outside of that, danger, live specimens, but now there's only a dead specimen inside their That's element of surprise. I mean, by no means do they far outclass Team Euonym. Euonym has some really high skill players. You know, it seems element of surprise is benefiting a little bit from the fact that they've probably spent more time playing together, especially over the years. I mean, you know, several of these players had a lot of experience with each other before this tournament even started, and so can't be, you know,
gonna add the fuel to the fire of exactly how good that game's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thoroughly impressed with Team Element of Surprise. I mean, by no means do they far outclass Team Euonym. Euonym has some really high skill players. You know, it seems Element of Surprise is benefiting a little bit from the fact that they've probably spent more time playing together, especially over the years. I mean, you know, several of these players had a lot of experience with each other before this tournament even started, and so can't be, you know, kind of downplayed in a situation like this because you've got so many high skill players that are playing in this match currently, but you know, sometimes team chemistry just far outweigh individual skill you have going on, and so you're seeing that kind of coming to a head where you have the individual skill and the combination of the team chemistry going on. So we'll see what they'll do with the first attack here for Team Euonym. Boomer looking for an early boom, does manage to miss. The Hunter goes in. Actually, the Boomer did finally land. Hunter lands momentarily, charge whips, Smoker gets cleared pretty quickly, and he's going to die, and only 1 tick of damage. Actually, we see a little bit more as Nick pushes forward into the Horde, but overall, I mean, just not really what you're looking for.
Yeah, this tank is going to be at 30% right here, which is 62, so it should be relatively early and fought in this open area. And it's interesting now because I'm not surprised putting without Han or Hib, who have played together since the table flip days. I think it was Cybergamer 2012 that they actually won that tournament. I think Purple was on their team back then. So this is, again, showing the depth of the roster. I'll say it again for Element of Surprise. These 4 players right here with Scratch as well. Maybe they won't do as many crazy things. Their Survivor shutdowns are on point so far. Hunter getting skeeted, Smoker getting destroyed in that area, Boomer really finding nowhere to spawn, and Spitter finally getting picked. Boomer does manage to land a double boom off that, but again, the Pinner's getting annihilated immediately.
Attack getting shut down pretty well, and I think you touch on a good point in the sense that not only does the chemistry need to work out well, as we do see the tank spawning up in the hands of Serve, but you also have to keep in mind the versatility that you could realistically ask them to run Uzi or shotgun. They'd probably be equally comfortable doing both, and that's something that can just make you so much more dangerous if you're not pigeonholed into playing one specific styles.
Exactly, and they have such variety right there from all of their players, I would say. We do have a Charter coming from the back, Hunter going for a DP, getting nicely speeded right there. I think it was by Tool, and now that Rock is going to go in as well, not going to land, and again, open field right here, Tank can only do so much. We saw a fantastic white coming out for Team Serenity in a game earlier, but that's the only whip I've actually seen here so far, and I mean, that was, I don't want to say it was a fluke, it was just an amazing play. Like, this Tank, statistically speaking, should not get a whole lot.
Yeah, it's a really wide open area. There are some spawns for the SI, but it's so hard to get spawns in an area like you can just see the survivors kind of kiting around unexpectedly, blocking spawns continuously. We do see another attack coming in. Rock goes in and does miss. Charger spawned up and he gets melted. Smoker gets a momentary pulse, he gets cleared. Would not be surprised to see the survivors LOS hard right now because this is an area where you really need to make this tank go second pass at least and force him into a commit.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're using that single building in the center of that small lake right there to just LOS that tank to second pass. Tank is trying to knock his hittables in now. He has, let's see, one dump scare in the middle of the small pond. He has a car that's tumbling over right there. And the survivors have decided to pull out of that area. So they're going to go back to the safe room. Tank should not lose his... Well, he shouldn't actually lose the tank. I was going to lose first pass, but... I don't know if he's going to be able to actually knock a hittable in there or not either. I'm going to surprise working their way into the safe room. Oh, this car! Almost landing onto Lucky Lock. That was so close. Tank is still obviously player control at this point. Smoker going for a pull outside. Tank is not going to be able to get that car. And actually, Tank's actually hop onto that car in order to actually get in there to the survivors. He's at 10%. Smoker is chipped a little bit as well. Tank going in and getting shot by those Uzis. Charger spawning behind right there. Tank did get up onto the survivor in the safe room. Then the chest bump does go out. Do that Charger fisting Alice in the safe room as well. Tank's 2 targets, trying to spread that damage a little bit, but lots of Uzi fire going out. I think there's actually 4 Uzis by the time the Tank got in there. He does get an in cap onto Shady, but that is all he is going to find.
Yeah, and that was very close to being disastrous for element of surprise. I mean, Lucky Lock looked up at the last moment, and I think he was aware that the car was going to be a possibility there and was able to avoid it. But, you know, it looked pretty close there. Again, I mean, this is pretty much the entire time out of Team Euonym, where they leave the tanks with a decent amount of damage, but only one survivor taking most of that. As you see another attack going in, Boomer does get shut down. Spitter and Jockey are probably just at this point. Well, actually, Jockey's going to go in by himself, go tree climbing a little bit, hop around. Maybe distract for this Charger here. Charger goes in and pretty much gets skeeted out of the sky. Spitter's going to be used and dies, and that's pretty much the attack, and it's getting pretty bleak there, Rails.
Oh, it's getting extremely bleak right here. Element is rolling at the moment, and again, those players switching really not doing a lot to impact their momentum, to keep it pushing forward again, because of just how long these players have played together, and that chemistry can't really be spoken enough. I think that's why they're doing as well in the tournament as they are. So that Boomer gets popped. It's going to be a Smoker and a Hunter and another coming into queue relatively soon. But again, with that Boomer being shut down, they're going to be a 12-second interval off from a full hit coming up. So they might have to go in here without a support SI. Actually, and I think I'm not surprised to know that. They're just going to keep motoring their way through this map.
Yeah, they are very well aware of that, and you know, Element of Surprise is pushing into what I would consider one of the more dangerous portions of this whole campaign between this area right here. As we do see the attack going in, a nice separation pull, although that skeet goes out. A lot of damage going in on Coach, though. So that's a pretty good attack, all things considered. You know, if it were not for that skeet, that could have been a whole lot worse. So a good shutdown there overall, but there was a lot of that went in on Coach. But, you know, again, you got to keep in mind that you only have so many more opportunities to do damage here. You know, maybe a couple more hits before they're into the, you know, into the safe room. So we'll see if Yonim can capitalize on that.
Indeed, we have a Smoker, Hunter, Charger, and a Spitter, so pretty good hit right here, but if they send this in and don't sack up, they might not get a Charger for the Salt/Gravel Hill. We have that Hunter spawning up to the roof on the right. Spitter already pre-spawning a little bit, could actually be picked at that stage. Hunter getting chipped around right there. We do have a pull charge going out in the back with a spit on top of it. Charger does get cleared. Hunter working his way, and actually imagine to get a pin onto Tool. A little bit more damage going out onto Azul right there, but he already had most of the non-bonus, I'm pretty sure. So health bonus, that is, they still have damage bonus, but still, everyone's fast. They have 2 sets of pills. Lucky Lock and Tool still have a good amount of green health, and they also have a pill cabinet they're coming up on to get them even more drugs.
That is very true. So they've got some more pills coming up here. That hill, the witch is wide open right now. They may opt to go for her at this point, although they know the spawns are coming back up pretty soon too. Boomer is already spawned over there or going to be soon. It looks like the survivors are going to opt to go around the other way, play it safe and not really deal with the witch until either they're forced to or until they can just go up the top of the hill. But we do see that Charger up along with the Jockey, Smoker, and Boomer, so there is potential for damage here, Rails.
Oh, this is the ideal hit in my opinion. Like, they can get that pull and that charge, maybe some kind of death charge going out. I think the survivors have the position where, even though they're up by as much as they are, they're going to drop back and hold it out. Maybe even just the entire Horde of Common or the entire hit. And I think if Euonym hits here, they're going to push the hill. They could just send in one or two. Boomer going in, managing to get a single boom on the coach. That's going to funnel the Horde down to him. Jockey looks like it wants to go in from the left-hand side, and the Smoker Charger have not yet decided to go. I think they might try, but this Charger is jockeying for a spawn right here. Speaking of jockeys, that jockey does spawn up right there, launching its way in, trying to land. Still no luck, though, and that Smoker did get a pull out right there. Charger got annihilated by the melee weapons and the guns of the survivors, and again, I would have liked to see them save that.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a misplay there. I mean, I know that you need to do damage, and I know that it's easy to see the survivors waiting and just assume that it's the best to go, as you do see a nice 13 damage counts going out. But again, I mean, you have that Charger and that Smoker, which is ideal to set up at the top of the hill, and now the survivors pretty much have a free run through that whole area. And I would probably one of the last, if not the last, great damage potential dealers. I mean, you've got the one hit up front here, but other than that, I think that's... I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they can get a separation here. As do start to come up, we see the Smoker spawning up down below, making some noise, waiting for his teammates to help out. Survivors looking around, knowing the hit's about to come in. Jockey and Charger do spawn up. Charger gets leveled. Jockey gets shut down. Spitter is cleared instantly, and that attack was melted.
Yeah, that's what EOS has been doing this entire game so far, is melting those attacks one by one, knocking them down in order. And again, I mean, the coordination being what is or is not from Team Yonim is important, but also at the same point in time, if a Survivor team is playing that well, even the most coordinated team, everything is dying when it goes in. Right now, it's a 4-shoddy setup, 4 element of surprise. And again, they all have the capacity just to shut down almost entire hits by themselves, and that's exactly what we're seeing right here. Great team play to actually balance that. We do see Uzi now in the hands of Rochelle as that Boomer gets a single boom. Jockey spawned up in the back. Hunter from the roof as well. Coming in right now, trying to do something, but the Survivors already pushed out to the street. Nice skeet going out right there onto that Hunter who was about to land on the Lucky Lock. Jockey got shut down. It's the same old story, Rita.
You know, going back to the chemistry piece, I mean, I think we saw that a little bit in the healthcare professionals versus Serenity team match earlier today, that, you know, healthcare professionals has one of the greatest collections of talent that we've seen as far as individual skills. The last charge does come in there, a nice charge spit, and that's going to be a lot of damage out onto Tool, and that's actually a pretty good hit too, so that's actually not insubstantial. I mean, it may be a case of too little too late, as we see another 2-boom coming in, the double get up for Nick, but, you know, just going back to that earlier point, that just because you have a bunch of high skill players does not to win every match. And you know, when you get into the higher tiers of Left 4 Dead 2 play, I think it's crucial that you guys have good chemistry together as well. And, you know, that's something that I think we saw a little bit of today, and, you know, may continue to be a theme throughout this tournament. You know, with the prize money at the end, I mean, people are motivated to win this thing, Rails.
Exactly. I mean, an element prize, a dark horse, I think, mentioned there. And, like, they're showing it right here, because, again, we predicted these matchups to be pretty, you know, tight, I would say, at least especially between Element Surprise and Yonim. But at this point, I think everyone from Euonym just went AFK. They're all sitting in the safe room in a rectangle formation, just exactly where they usually start with their pistols out. So Team Euonym having a team meeting, I guess. Oh, and they did actually manage to come back right there, but that was a little bit weird. They went, and now they're also going to ready up mostly at the same time, aside from maybe it is just the ready up bug going out. But like I was saying, Element of Surprise, you know, is another one of those teams that's thrown in there where people think that if they, and again, this is not, in my opinion, it's not their best lineup unless Han is involved, and that's just from me watching him for as long as I have and knowing how good of an individual player he is. But again, it hasn't hurt them because Han isn't necessary for them to win. You know what I mean? Like, he's a great player, but they can have other lineups there and just do almost as well. We're seeing them blow out Team Yonim right now, and again, that was supposed to be a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, it is true, and that flexibility is really key because, you know, part of playing a video game and part of playing anything competitively is you have to be able to be flexible and understand that there are going to be, you know, times where you won't have your full, you know, your main four per se around. And so that can be the downfall for some teams, is that they may have a main four that they always scrim with, but when it comes to match time, they might not all be there. And, you know, you can see that play out in the way that things are, you know, kind of going down in the matches here. And I don't know, I feel like UNM might be just a little bit here. I mean, you know, it is what it is at this point. I mean, you're probably just trying to have some fun at the end of a game like this, but I'm still excited to see what they can do to maybe pull it together, because this is not the end of anything by any means at all. I mean, we've still got the playoffs coming up, and, you know, that's gonna...
I hear a hunter.
Yeah, that's going to be an important part to see exactly how that goes
to at least
in.
make sure you...
Yeah, and we do have a hit coming in right now. Nice going out onto that Hunter, but the Charger does manage to land off a quick pull. No spit out, so you to go down on top of that as well. I think your Wi-Fi baited me there.
Get baited.
I did. I got baited by my old ex-teammate. Can't do much about it. So yeah, I mean, as you said, the playoffs are still in. I think Unim's sitting at a 3-1 record right now. If they lose this game, it's going to be 3-2. They just have to win one more out of their next 2 games coming up. And I don't know exactly what the map is going to be yet, but we'll hear probably in the next, probably 24 hours, I would say, exactly when the pairings get posted. But aside from that, we have another hit coming in right now. Smoker is up top right there trying to get something. Nice double cap landing momentarily. Charger's going to go and actually charges the wall instead of hitting the Survivor, who was still being pulled up the side of that silo right there.
Yeah, I think it's apt that the former filler of ponds, aka Shady, did everything he could to charge away from the pond and straight into the wall. I mean, there's not a whole lot of WTF moments that happened for me in this game so far, but that was one of those where I'm like,
well, I mean, if he was a filler of ponds, that was the problem right there, if he managed to launch across the pond and try to land something, but of course, didn't necessarily work for him. And now the tank is up into the hands of Tool for Elman. Surprise. Ooh, this car going in. Okay, almost landing onto Silver right there. That was really dangerous. If that tree branch hadn't been there, actually might have landed onto Dawkins or Silver. Nice boomer going out right there by Sir.
yeah, Silver threw his Nikes on, did a little bounce away from that there. So, I mean, he saw it last second. I mean, it's kind of hard to see trees flying. That would also be difficult. But we do see those hittables getting worked in here. We'll see how he positions them. It looks like the Survivors are actually working their way back here, which seems to be pretty standard. This tank is already on second. Hittables in.
Yeah, this hit's going to be going in. Hunter, Charger, Jockey potentially, and he's going to have to hurry up. Unless he's going to go actually AI. It's going to be close. He's at 35%, working his way across the top of the fence. Looks as though he actually does have stamina right now, so he will be able to go in before going AI. And this is the right room, try cap, quote unquote, in my opinion. And he is going to work his way in now. Looks as though the SI support are going to be needed relatively soon. Survivor's actually juicing back into the save from there. Tank does have a corner now onto Sir. You can see that Jockey going mad and land onto Dawkins. You can see the Hunter and Charger have a little bit of miscommunication right there, I'm pretty sure. Both of them went for the same target. Tank turning back around. Dawkins has been drugged all the way outside. Tank is working his way around, spraying the damage out even more, getting a couple punches onto Sideways box right there, pushing Sir into the corner and getting the in-cap onto him. Tool not quite dead, so it's 300 health left, almost trying to get a hitbox rock right there, and the tank has decided to get out. Dawkins was drugged all the way forward and is now only just in-capped in front of a tree, so that's really not good for Team Yonim.
Yeah, definitely not good, and I would not be surprised if you see a Hunter or a Boomer come up here if they commit onto Dawkins to try to get that kill.
I don't know if they're going to have it. It'll be close. Nah, they won't. I think they're going to be able to clear him before it actually gets in there. The Horde, that is.
Yeah, looking pretty close. Smoker coming in from behind, trying to control. Looks like they should be able to get that pick up, although the nice pull back, Jockey goes in and gets shut down. Maybe looking for a sneaky death charge while they're trying to pick up Dawkins here. And here comes the Charger. He does manage to land. Oh, and he got caught on the corner.
Wow, that was so close to a death charge right there on the Sir. We actually would have seen it first time in a while. Boomer going in, nice pop going out as well. But again, only one set of pills left. Silver the only person with bonus and a massive amount of damage taken on that tank.
Yeah, that tank did a ton of work, and I mean, you know, if the door had not already been shut in your face, it looks like Element of Surprise probably just slammed it shut. Only bonus left on Silver, and of course that's not the end of the story here, but you know, it's looking pretty far out of reach here, and I don't even know if it's mathematically possible at this point, but we'll still put in the back to attack working our way in. A nice momentary tri-cap there. Jockey gets cleared, the pull still out on Dawkins. Spit comes in, all the Survivors are stuck there, and Dawkins is just going to chill behind the dumpster, hang out there, and they're just going to kind of discuss their life goals while they're waiting for the Spit to go away, Rails.
That'd be an interesting idea for a team, a very philosophical team who decided to sit there and discuss their life goals and more while they're actually playing Left 4 Dead 2. What is the meaning of life besides pro mod? Not entirely sure.
Well, I mean, you could start a very philosophical debate on the differences mod and pro mod, which one you prefer. I mean, I don't know. That could be a very long debate. I would like to see that happen between Jacob and Visor. As we see another attack working its way, Charger gets cleared. Everything's cleared, and here we go again. Oh, another pull out onto Rochelle. Smoker dies last, so we won't see that for the hill more than likely, but the Survivors are moving very slowly at this point. With 3 of them and slow, they'll have some hills up ahead, but I forgot we weren't even close to the hill yet, so I mean, what the hell, man?
Yeah, exactly. They still have a lot of map to go actually before they get there. Gonna be a Spitter, a Boomer, and 2 other spawns coming into queue right here. Spit's gonna go down in front of the survivors to separate them. Hunter, Boomer, Jockey now for the next hit coming up. Let's see exactly what they're able to do with it. Those survivors are actually pretty close to that alarm car as well, kiting their way around to the left-hand side. One of the survivors actually popping onto the roof. Hunter's gonna spawn up with that Boomer as well. Boomer not gonna get popped now, does get popped on the second shot. Jockey gets M2 shut down. Nice job by Silver. Nice skeet going out by Dawkins right there to get a little bit more damage. And there are 2 survivors who've taken 1 in cap so far, but obviously no black and whites.
Yeah, pretty good shutdown there. Silver just kind of getting up on the dumpsters, baiting everybody out. You know, as Mrs. Ducks always used to say, you only YOLO once.
Exactly, that's the trademark, right? Trademark statement coming out. That was your L4D2 career in a nutshell too. You only YOLO once.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't even know if you could necessarily call it a career. Like, I won a frag video contest once, but other than that, my Left 4 Dead 2 career was pretty much one big migraine.
Ah, I like the reference. We have a hit trying to go in here. Hunter gets nicely skeeted. Wow, that person went in cap right before that charger landed on them. That would have been a long charge out, making the survivors go back, but instead the Smoker got the in cap on its own, and that is another in cap going on to Dawkins, as a matter of fact. Swib at 1 HP, running around on top of that truck, killing those common. Charger actually got a despawn. Might go for another chance right here. Indeed he is. Charger waiting for it, eyeing those survivors, and I think Sir is going to be able to pick the survivor up without getting charged, but this Charger really wants it. Like, he really wants to free charge. Hunter is going to spawn up right there, trying to jump up on top of the truck to get a scratch down onto sideways. Now we do see that Charger going in for a YOLO charge, not going to land. Single boom goes out onto Silver, and that is going to put Mr. Actually, Dawkins already is white. And so, Sir.
Yeah, and Swift going down on top of that truck, really cementing his status on the ground because it's a cement truck. It's funny, right? I'm sorry, dad jokes. Dad jokes everywhere.
I hate you, is what Kiss Me says. Oh, goodness gracious. So glad to feel the love back in the room right here. We are going to have, what, is that 2 sets of pills? Yeah, there's 2 sets of pills. We have a pull going out in the back. Nice double cap landing. That should be the death of Sir. Silver's going to get jockeyed around. And that's actually going to be another in cap onto sideways box as well. Silver's still jockeyed. Dawkins is going to jump off the top right there, and that is going to be the death of him. So that's going to be the wipe going out on a team Yonim. I thought they were going to make it after that because of those pills, but the blowout is, fortunately for them, going to continue. Element Surprise have this well in hand walking into the finale.
Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty much obviously over, but I'm still going to be excited to see how the teams play it out. I mean, this finale can be interesting at the very least. You might see a little bit of a troll, maybe start all 3 generators at the same time, see if we can get a 3-tank finale in. But, you know, overall, I mean, Element of Surprise is coming out of this looking really strong, and it's the kind of chemistry that you need to go far in a tournament like this. And, you know, they haven't made any big misplays, which, you know, they all do. I think you've seen Euonym make some questionable decisions, as well as just some separation and just a little disjointed. It felt like they were never really all on the same page during this match.
Exactly. I mean, that might come from the lack of scrimming and also the fact that this is not like a Dark Carnival map where people have played it like 10 million times in the past month. It's one of those where it's like you actually have to scrim on to understand it a little bit. And honestly, I've liked the inclusion so far. It seemed like it's balanced. It is a little bit lengthy, I guess, because you stitch together 2 campaigns where they didn't really have to worry about the map distances adiabatically because they never thought they would be like stitched together. But we have a hit coming in here right now from Team Yonim. Nice jockey landing. Charger getting a little bit of a pounce or there as well, a punch, I should say. And then the Hunter is going to land a pounce into the corner real quick, so just getting chip damage going out. That was a okay coordinated hit, but you are right, Redux. I think we were talking about this beforehand. If you do this game back-to-back, it does take a little bit of time if you have like a 2 pacifice home and away game.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a very long time to do so, and it's hard to keep your focus for that long if you're trying to play on like a competitive level. You know, just really stay focused and play at the top of your game for maps is it's a lot to ask. I mean, I like the home and away to kind of balance out any kind of imperfections between the pings there, especially on an international tournament. But it's nice to see two teams close to each other playing, because then you just have that one map and it's not a 4-hour marathon. You know, pauses and other things not included.
You never really know how many pauses there are going to be. We have a Smoker going out on the side over there, managing to land onto Ellis. Spit going down on top of that as well. Pretty slow clear, but again, not really a problem due to the fact that Spit did land, not late, but I mean, the amount of damage that goes onto a pin from Ace Mod Spit is not nearly as much as you see in Pro Mod. And this tank should be up sometime relatively soon. We'll see who gets it for Team Yonim.
Yeah, and while we're on the subject of this tournament, I do just want to say, shout out to Kissick for putting this whole thing together. I know, putting together a tournament in and of itself is a very time-consuming thing, but cool. Lagging
Nice
out,
job.
robot voice, it's all good.
Good job, Kiss Me. Good job, good job. I mean, this has been an educational experience for you. I don't know if you've noticed that Kiss Me's had to have a little bit of a, remedial high school situation going on here a little bit. I don't know if you've been watching the cast, but it's been a learning experience for everyone involved, definitely. That car almost whipped into Nick's face, and it did not land. That next car looks like Silver's going to be committing this tank just with his hittables right here, popping that car up into the air. That car's also going in right there, trying to land, and Rochelle's doing a pretty good job kiting this tank. Is going to get pulled out right now. Rock going in, missing. I was crashing there for a second, but that's just me. So now the tank is going to be going in, trying to push again. He's down to 1,000 HP, throwing a rock in there, and that, unfortunately, for team, I was going to say that was going to be a no-hitter tank, but he got that last hittable onto Tool.
Yeah, Tool ate that one pretty hard. I was actually watching over Tool's shoulder as that happened, and it was just kind of a lapse of awareness there, which, it can happen when you're already up by this much, but, pretty well taken tank, aside from that hittable to the face. And one of the entertaining about playing on Wi-Fi and lagging out momentarily sometimes is that for the first part of that tank, before I recorded the demo, the tank was invisible, so I was just watching stuff fly around aimlessly, like not really picturing like a little jockey doing all that. Another attack coming in, Smoker does go in, get shut down, got the Charger and the Hunter coming in. I'm lagging out again, Hunter lands, Spitter in the sky, I don't know where the Charger even came from.
G_G for sure. That was a pretty good hit going out, and there are 4 sets of pills in the hands of Team Element Surprise, and then Team Yonim has, like, I don't know, 2 more tanks to kill them. And I think they can definitely do it depending on Element of Surprise where they stand, but those hittables were already knocked out of play, so those cars aren't really going to be an option for this next tank depending on whether the survivors decide to fight it. This one up here seems to be pretty good. Boomer, Hunter, Jockey, and a Charger for the next hit from Team Euonym. Let's see exactly how they decide to send it. Hunter crouched in the back there making a little bit of noise. Boomer's going to swamp as well, managing to land a single boom. Jockey lands with some nice separation. Charger's going for the separation charge right there, not going to land. Finally, that Hunter does get skied, and that Jockey gets cleared, and the Charger does not even get a scratch.
Yeah, it's a lonely life for a Charger that missed, and it looks like it was the makings of a decent attack there because they had one boom targeting the non-boom survivors, and that Hunter almost intercepted on the pole there, so there was potential for damage, but again, just not quite there. And it's got to be a frustrating loss if you are at the same time you can. I guess another attack coming in. Smoker does go in, gets cleared pretty quickly there. Maybe the tank that's actually sacking a Smoker there. We'll see. Spitter pre-spawn, just looking to deny. And we got another tank coming in, Rails.
Indeed, tank in the hands of Dawkins for Team Euonym. Up behind the tank sign over here, Destroy Your Hunger, Burger Tank for sure. We have a Hunter, Boomer, and another spawn. That Spitter did get picked, and it was a bot, so it didn't really matter. Jockey for the third right there. Dawkins trying to keep a little bit of sight, maybe play a little bit of bleed out Rock Tank right here. And actually, never mind, I think he's going to commit this tank. He is going in to try and see what he can do. I think he has a hittable Dumpster over there, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see if he's able to land that. Dumpster is going to be hit. Nice spin on it, and it's not going to land, unfortunately. It goes behind the railing. Tank committing his way in, working it down. We have a nice tri-boom going out, but again, Tank is going to be going for his hittable instead. Knocking it around, not going to get a whole lot off of that, but then he does get a punch onto Ellis. Hittable going in, Manny lands Tool. Poor Tool has eaten 2 hittables so far. Another Dumpster coming back in right here. Tank is down to about under 1,200 HP. We do have a hittable hit coming in right there. Not a bad bounce, but now does fly out of play, and Dawkins is going to be forced to decommit there. Pretty bad for Tool. He's eaten a car and then a Dumpster, and it's not been nice for him in this finale so far.
No, it has not, as these tanks have been 2 for Tool on their hittables.
Exactly, that's the tool that they've used in order to get all of their damage almost. We do have a Hunter behind the tree over there working its way in, trying to land it, not going to work. A Boomer goes in, it does get popped, Rocket skeeted. And now I think Team Element Surprise probably could just go into a small room and LOS this tank to death. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do or not, but I think that is what they're going to make the call for.
Yeah, they're just going to go in here, grab some snacks, maybe read some magazines. All this place has been pretty cleaned out after the zombie apocalypse. The drink containers are empty. The tank might throw some rocks in there for them. I don't know, maybe give you some, some iron to munch on or something. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty much GG as far as the snacks go inside the store here, as the survivors do push back out, realizing that their hunger is going to continue. But they still have their shotguns, so does come in and does get cleared. Hunter coming in, nice pounce on the other side of the bush, hittable flying in, and there's another in cap on Shady with the hittable, 2 cap in the back, and here comes Coach to finally clear everyone off. But yeah, it's dumpster there.
Exactly, and that almost tool, I'm pretty sure, again, looks as though Element of Surprise are going to be breaching the 5k mark right here once they start that last generator. They might actually be able to take that tank inside. One survivor is slow right now, so they're not going to be able to have as much mobility as they would probably like, especially since those pills are no longer there. So, I mean, good tank by Dawkins, getting the first hittable there, and then the second one at the end to get a 2-down tank out of that. Of course, not the wipe that Team Euonym would want in a perfect world, but Element of Surprise already have it well in hand. I think Euonym knows that. And we should see another hit from them coming in now. We have a Charger dropping down, managing to land onto Rochelle. Nice free charge going out with a spit on top of that as well. Going to get rid of the rest of the Lucky Box permanent bonus. And now they are going to be able to get this generator up. And that should trigger the tank relatively soon.
Yeah, and I mean, it's already been 2 tanks, and you still see Element of Surprise alive and kicking, although they've got 2 very slow survivors, no pills left from what I assume, and looks like they're going to be sent to push back out. And this is one of those differences that you see, is that because this map hasn't been played a whole lot, I think you see differences in where teams that like to take the tanks. As the tank does roll in, gets the end cap onto Shady, and continue working in this last hittable here. See if Tool can maybe catch one more for the kill. We'll see what happens, but so far, I mean, yeah, it looks like Ellis might die over there. They stay around. Hunter gets a nice separation pounce on Rochelle, and Rochelle is now down. They got the death. There's the cap on to Coach, and now we're just waiting for hittables, I guess.
Indeed, Tool is the last one up. Hunter has managed to win that pounce, so this will be the wipe on the Team Element of Surprise eventually. Tool working for it. He's working around those pillars right there, just trying to kite the best that he possibly can, trying to stay alive, and we have a survivor's failed message. We need 2 survivors alive, so unfortunately Tool's efforts are going to be in vain with he sits over there on top of that trash can, still shooting the tank. Might be able to skip this rock, and actually he does. That was a nice close skeet by Tool, jumping into the tank's face, who then I think actually was able to punch him, and there's your hittable, Redux. You got what you wanted.
Last minute death there. That's a pretty aggressive way to put it when you have a giant red letter that comes up there. It's just like survivors failed. I feel like that should have been like shown every time I ever played a map of Left 4 Dead 2 is really what it comes down to. But that was I've actually never actually seen that before. That shows you how many times I've actually played this map. True sacrifice on my part, I guess.
Oh yes, you had to make a big sacrifice to play this map at all. I mean, again, we mentioned it a bunch, but it wasn't ever actually, like, I don't want to say ever, but aside from like ZKA and or TFPG tournaments, wasn't used in a competitive competitive Left 4 Dead 2 tournament in a while. And I mean, that's why the inclusion of it here was nice to see the community go for. They originally thought that they were going to include this and take out Swamp Fever, but instead both actually ended up being used. So it wasn't really like a huge change in the meta. It just added more to it. Yeah, they got trolled by Kiss Me, essentially. Hunter Spitter, Jockey Charger for the first hit from Element of Surprise on the SI side. We see the Jockey managing to land. Charger's going to whiff. Hunter does manage to land for a quick pounce with a spit on top of that. So again, pretty well coordinated by the Element of Surprise.
Yeah, they got shut down pretty quick, though. They got the 3-6. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go through with that. But, scores going out so far. But, yeah, I mean, I really like to see some inclusion of some different maps on here because it can get a little monotonous sometimes.
It can, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. The 10 million times you played Dark Carnival or Hard Rain in a week is one thing, but I would really want to see Element of Surprise, like, I don't know. Like, no. I don't think Kiss Me is Robot. I think Redux might have been Robot, or I was also lagging out. I'm not entirely sure. Redux is Robot. You're okay, Kiss Me. It's all fine. We have a Jockey landing right there into a spit. More damage going out on to Team Yonim. So, yes, let's see if they can actually start all 3 of these generators. I would like to see that, but I don't think they're actually going to.
That is correct. And Kiss Me trying to game of Will Smith. I mean, I was on Team Will Smith, okay? Like, kind of as a mascot, but, Karl Malone. I'm going for the robot thing again. I'm pretty sure I'm lagging out. I'm just going to stop talking, okay? You guys have fun with this.
Oh no, we've lost Redux. I don't know exactly how my mic sounds, but I know I was having some interesting ping spikes earlier in the day as well. Team Yonim is going to be still crouching atop these picnic tables up here. Smoker, Charger, Hunter, and a Boomer for this next hit coming out He needs to stop eating his mic. Dude, you can't tell me that Ryuk is eating his microphone. That's not okay. There's that Hunter going in, trying to land. Charger coming in from the wall, going for a DP. Charge. Madden landed on the coach. That's going to be a 2-cap up top, and that's going to be a Hunter landing down below on the Nick as well, and now does get cleared. Ryuk, you better now.
I feel like I am. I was better enough to get made fun of for eating things, and there goes the ping again. So goodbye again.
Oh, that got a laugh out of Kiss Me, I think, too, because, I mean, again, that's another one of these community memes. There are a pretty large group of them at this point, and we do have a tank for Element Spies up in the hands of Relapse. That's his tank here. Let's see exactly where the game decided to put him. They put him on the side of the hedge over there. That's an interesting spawn. And it's going to be, what, a Smoker Jockey Charger for the first hit of support here coming in. Tank is probably going to make some kind of transition. Nice charge landing right there on to Ellis for a moment. Smoker gets a momentary pull as well. And the tank is going to work its way up top. We did see a Jockey landing there for 6 of damage, and the Rock is going to get skeeted.
That Rock is skeeted to attempt to finish this cast with an invisible tank, so it's actually really entertaining to try to see this tank do something.
Invisible tanks are always on. I've actually had that issue before. Kiss Me's attempting to communicate right now with you. I'm not sure exactly how that's going. Good, good. Making progress. Boomer is going to spawn right now. We do have some kind of alien language being spoken. Car is going to go flying in, and not a whole lot going, and looks like with off that single boom, tank is going to go in there. Matting Cube lane the corner onto sideways blocks. We are going to have a pull going out onto Dawkins on the other side, probably next to a car. Rock lands onto Rochelle as well. There's your car going out onto Dawkins. Another punch going out on the sideways box as well. Tank is going to turn back around. Matting get another hit onto Dawkins. Still has 4.8k HP, which is pretty darn good for what's gone so far. Curve Rock not going to land, but the tank is going to work his car from the other side of the street, back punching it back towards the down survivor, managing to roll it over Dawkins' fly. Once again, getting another bounce up the hill, actually, on the sideways box, acing his driving test, and that was actually the third in cap right there on a Master Silver. So that is going to be Team Element Surprise taking the win by just under 3,000 points. 5,062 to 2,067. So they're asking if we can do the away game. I don't believe that's what we're going to get right here. So GG is going out, and that is going to be the end. Redux, what did you think of that game?
Well, you know, it was a little disappointing in the close sector, but it was nice to get a chance to come in and cast another match. And, you know, overall, I think we had two very strong teams there. I think Element of Surprise obviously got the best of that one, but I'm going to be curious to see how both of these teams come together and finish out the rest of this tournament.
Indeed. So with that said, and somebody saying in chat that NA finally won, and that Redux sounds like a radio. Is that the way this works?
That's a little bit how it works. I mean, I wanted to make sure that you guys had a little bit of interesting stuff going on other than just my voice, which I know is glorious to listen to, but when I sound like a robot, it's even better.
I agree. I agree. So that was definitely worth it, and we are going to see that means that the bracket is set for Element of Surprise, undefeated 5-0, versus Serenity, undefeated 5-0 for next week on whatever the map is. That's going to be a nice series to see played out. Home and away games coming out. And I think we do have another game. I want to say it's 10 p.m. Eastern. So that should be between Smile Support